Free agency hasn't even started yet, and we've already got some news, and it's good news, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's talk about it. Dolphins fans, thank you for checking out my channel. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm not a big YouTuber, so those of you that come in and listen to me talk, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Throughout this, as always, comment, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. If you comment, of course, I'm going to answer you. I always answer every single comment. So let's get into this. Just a little while ago, less than an hour ago, we got news on Bradley Chubb, and this time it's coming from Jordan Schultz. Now, other people are reporting it now. He was the first. It says the Dolphins and two-time Pro Bowl rusher Bradley Chubb have agreed to a reduction in his base salary to remain with the team after missing last season due to injury. Chubb, who is fully recovered from the ACL injury, can still earn his full $21 million compensation through various playtime and sack incentives. This ensures he stays in Miami. Now, there's a couple ways to make some money back on the cap, and this was one of them. I don't have the actual contract information yet. It hasn't been updated on Sport Track or Over the Cap, but as soon as it does, I'll update everybody with more information on it. This does look like it's going to be it's going to be less guaranteed money and more incentive laden, which is huge because Chubb knows that with the injury he had being gone all last season, he pretty much had to take this pay cut to stay in Miami. This also tells me he wants to be in Miami. This tells me he likes Anthony Weaver. He likes the coaching staff. He likes Miami, and he wants to remain. Who can blame him? Pardon me. Let's be real. Miami is a desirable place to be, especially for players. So This is a great thing for Miami, and I'm thinking we're going to have Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Chop Robinson in rotation for this season. Jalen Phillips is going to be healthy. We all know that. He heals like Wolverine. The man is a freak. And Bradley Chubb is at 100% right now. Now, this is part of the reason why he was kept out of the end of last season, because this ensures that he is at 100% the entire offseason and has time to work his way back before the season starts. So we're going to have him at 100%. That's fantastic news, especially knowing that he's taken a pay cut, and this is likely going to be a significant enough amount to help us out in free agency, which is going to start in less than a week. So fantastic job by the Miami Dolphins and front office in working this deal out. Like I said, once the actual numbers come through, we can pick it apart more. But for now, hearing that this is becoming more of a incentive-laden contract, that's great news because that gives Bradley Chubb motivation to continue to play well, and it makes it to where we're not going to hurt if he doesn't. So, fantastic job. I'm excited for it. Our defense is going to be happy for it. This gives us a very good rotation at edge rushing. So, we do still need inside defensive line help, yes. We do maybe need another rotational player for the defensive ends or the edge rushing. We do have Mo Kamara, who didn't really play much at all last year, but if he can improve a little bit through this season and get a little more comfortable and grow a little bit, he could make a good contribution as well. So I'm very encouraged with this signing. With this helps a bunch. It also takes a little bit of pressure off in the draft for us. I'm not saying we shouldn't draft an edge rusher. I'm saying that this means that we really don't have to, which is what you want. You don't want to have to draft anything. You want to be able to go BPA. So I'm happy. You as Dolphins fans should be happy too. We all know the kind of contribution that Bradley Chubb can give. The last season he played, he was out, I think, in week 14, and he had 11 sacks. He was having a very good season. And he has a very good relationship with Jalen Phillips and also with Chop Robinson from last year. He helped Chop a lot during the offseason. Chop has said that himself. They all get along great. And this is what you want. You want cohesiveness on defense. well, on the entire football team. But this is good news for Miami. So we should feel encouraged and we should feel good about this. This will save us some money on the cap, but we'll have to wait to see what that actual number is. Also, we have a couple other things that I wanted to talk about. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Tyrel Dodson. Miami has, just like a couple days ago, we heard that they were interested in working with Bradley Chubb and keeping him on board. And then we saw this contract. So I would expect in the next couple days to see a deal worked out with Tyrel Dodson. Because the Dolphins have also said that they are interested in re-signing Tyrel Dodson and negotiations are ongoing. So that's fantastic news. Because Tyrel Dodson is a beast. And he's one of those guys that can set that example and bring about that change in mentality that I've been talking about all offseason with this team. He can do that. He's one of those players. His intensity and his aggression rubs off on other people on this team. So we need to keep him on board. He played great in the small amount of play time that he got, and I think that needs to continue. So hopefully next couple days we'll hear that. I'd like to hear Tyrel Dodson with Bradley Chubb now. I'd like to hear both of them are signed and sealed before the beginning of free agency. The other one I'm kind of hoping for is Kader Kohu. But we'll see what happens there. Pardon me, guys. I am still recovering from this, whatever this crap is that I've been dealing with. I'm actually running a 102.7 degree fever right now. Fantastic. Oh. But I digress. This is good news for Miami, and this is a good start. This will give us some extra money for free agency, like I said, and the fact that they're taking care of this now, you'll likely see this finalized the first day of free agency. So fantastic. Thanks for sticking with the Miami Dolphins, Bradley Chubb. Like I said, Bradley Chubb was one of those few players that we needed to do something with, either cut him post June 1st, or we needed to re-sign him. The Dolphins chose wisely to re-sign him, I think. I probably would have done the same thing if I was in their position and making the calls. I would have tried to re-sign Bradley Chubb as well at a lesser deal. And Bradley Chubb, being a smart man that he is, recognized that with his injury and with how little he was able to contribute last year, which is zero, he recognized that he needed to take a pay cut, and he did just that. So, bravo all around, kudos, applause, the velvet ropes part, angels sing, whatever you want to call it. This is great news. I'm happy about it, and I'm a little more optimistic than I was yesterday. So, with that, and with hopefully Tyrel Dodson getting re-signed here soon, I think that'll be make me a little more optimistic for our defense. I still haven't heard much on the offensive guard thing. I mean, the Dolphins are interested in a few. They've been talking heavily with a lot of different offensive guards for free agency. We had a couple of offensive linemen fall off of the table for free agency just by re-signing contracts, but there is still a bunch of offensive linemen, good offensive linemen, available in free agency right now. So, even if a few more sign before the beginning of free agency, don't worry. There's going to be a lot of good players there, and we can start picking up some of those. We'll have some money to do it, and I really think the focus needs to be on offensive guard and safety. Those are the focuses that needs to be for the beginning of free agency. Some other things need to happen. Yes, we need to re-sign one of our corners. Definitely need to re-sign Kader Kohu. Whether you like him or you hate him, he knows the system. He's been playing well, and nobody can deny that he was lights out at the end of the season this year. He's playing well. So, need to re-sign Kader Kohu and a couple other players on our team right now that we need to re-sign. But these are small potato things. Kader Kohu will take a minimum deal. If we have to, we can second round tender him and then cut him, for a $9-10 million deal for a couple years. I mean, the Kader Kohu thing, Kader wants to stay here, so I'm not too worried about it. I think the Dolphins would be foolish to let him go, and we'll see what happens. Tyreek, I think, is going to stay there. Everybody's talking about Tyreek. There's a lot of comments all over Twitter. I'm getting some comments there. I'm getting some comments in my videos. What about Tyreek? I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be cutting Tyreek. I think this is going to be his last year in a Dolphins uniform for sure coming up, but I think he's going to be here. He did mention to Dolphins fans that he is going to be having the best year he's had as a Dolphin this year. He mentioned that in a tweet. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm saying that I think he's going to be playing for Miami this year, and I don't necessarily think that's going to be a bad thing because he's going to be on good behavior. He's going to have to be, or he's going to have some issues. I think he's on short notice. He's on a leash, and I think that'll help him to behave himself off the field. We'll see, though. I can't really say much more than that. All I can say is what I think. So that's it. Like I said, we do need some players on the offensive line that I think we're going to get between free agency and the draft. Everybody knows what's been going on with the draft. Everybody knows that there's lots of guards and tackles available in this draft. Also, keep in mind, a lot of the top tackles in this draft present more as a guard, and they all have the ability, especially a bunch of the higher level guards and tackles that are in this draft have the ability to be swing, which means they can play guard, tackle, left or right. It doesn't matter. They're naturally talented at the lineman positions. So I'll get into some of that as we get closer to the draft and some of the players that are good at that, but there are a bunch, and they're going to be available to us. We're going to have some good choices to make. And the more that this goes on, the more I start thinking that we really need to consider, if the opportunity presents itself where a team comes to us and says, we want your 13th pick, we really need to consider that. We really need to think about maybe giving that up for a second and a third or a second and 2/4. There is a lot of good players in that 30 to 150 range in the draft. A lot of good players, saturated with good players. And since there's so many in that range, we can find very good value at those in that area. So I think one of our best bets possibly would be to make some more draft picks in that area and get rid of that 13th. There's going to be some desire for it, especially if a couple of players shake down the tree just a little bit from that top 10. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Dolphins front office keeps their ears open during the draft, and we'll see how that goes. Got a couple more videos planned here for the next week or so. Stay tuned for that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This was just a short little video to update on a couple of the contracts that Miami's working on. And thanks for watching. Stay hopeful and fins up.